workers, no war can take place. Labour defense shutting down national grid. The Aribado's escort. Army explains soldiers' presence as a Labour federal government meeting venue. Naira drops at parallel market, appreciates at official window. An intent to pauperize Nigerians. Labour faults federal government disposition to minimum wage negotiation. Taiwo Yedili, federal government has approved withholding tax exemption for businesses earning 25 million naira annually. We are not opponents. Federal government asks Labour to return to negotiations. 𝐂𝐜𝐿 resume onboarding of new customers. The CBN lifts restriction. And these are some of the headlines. Let's take a look at some political news here, right on the front page of the cable. Labour to LP to Labour resume negotiation with federal government. 494,000 naira minimum wage demand unrealistic. Uma Damangam, we want Obi back in PDP. And all of that are part of the headlines here on the Cable NG this morning.
All right, from the Punch newspaper, major story, minimum wage, federal government offers over 60,000 naira. Labour may end strike. Nigeria, UAE face off, settled visa issuance begins soon. As according to the federal government, 3 escaped death in Lagos-Ibadan road crash. Police go after hit-and-run driver for killing Ogun pedestrian. Apprentice arrested for horticulturist alleged kidnap in Lagos. CBN ban OPay Kuda issues strict guidelines for account opening. Striking union shuts airports, ports, banks. External reserves fall by $1.8 billion in 10 weeks. That's according to the report from the Punch newspaper this morning. New VAT rate to be carried out in phases. Panel. Full list ASU, TCN, 30 others join NLC nationwide strike. Federal government urges labor unions to resume minimum wage negotiations. We take some more business-related. Firms enjoying tax waivers rise to 104, says NIPC. And lastly, in 2024, sickle cell patients still face discrimination exclusion.
Now to the Vanguard, we also have more headlines. Strike. Federal government offers above 60,000 naira minimum wage as NLC TUC reverts to organs. And let's look at more stories. Government reforms should not push Nigerians into poverty, coming from Ajairo. Petrol landing cost rises 46.8% to 1,026 naira, 71 kobo, according to investigation here. All the latest news here on the Vanguard. Trading continues on Nigeria X amid strike. Investors lose 103 billion naira. City of David ROCCG Uluyomade transferred and not suspended. That's according to sources here. We will accomplish more when we drop partisan politics, personal interests coming from Tinubu's camp. And of course, we have more. 1 billion naira transfer scam. Detectives spread drag nets to arrest perpetrators. All right, we also have this one. Bandit infiltration. FCT police deploys assets to ensure safety of residents. Naira abuse. EFCC offers whistleblowers 5% reward. And they also have this one. PFTR committee canvasses 1% revenue cost of collection. All right, a little bit of politics here. We also have this one. Enemies of Rivers desperate to frustrate my government, coming from Fubara. And of course, we take to you more businesses, manufacturers to benefit from federal government 1 billion naira loan at 9% interest rates. That's according to Wale Edo. Minimum wage labor tackles presidential aid over comment against 494,000 naira demand.
All right, over to the Daily Post now. Minimum wage, federal government, organized labor sign agreement. Minimum wage, NLC, TUC to suspend strike after grounding economy. Soldiers presently surround venue of our meeting. NLC strike. Attempt to intimidate us will worsen matters. That's according to the NLC again. SGF summons labor to emergency meeting over strike. Some other headlines. Police to establish full drone system to aid security. That's coming from the Inspector General of Police. We will accomplish more than we refrain from. I'll take that again. We'll accomplish more when we refrain from partisan politics, personal interests. That's according to President Tinubu. Wike will be fired, humiliated by Tinubu. Prophet Ulujobi releases prophecies. Kogi 8th Assembly will surpass its predecessors. Judiciary Committee Chairman Adejo. Killing of five soldiers. Yes, CCTV cameras will help in tackling insecurity. 150 persons lost to Edo cold clashes in 5 months. That's according to Governor Obaseki. All right, more headlines from the Daily Post. Strike PDP postpones inauguration of Edo Governorship Election Campaign Council. Enemies of Rivers desperate to frustrate me. That's according to Fubara. Also, you find this one, fresh agitation as PDP zones chairmanship position to Abia North. Some of the major headlines out of the Daily Post.
All right, we're moving on to the Nigerian Tribune newspaper, and this says breaking: federal government makes U-turn, offers to raise minimum wage above 60,000 naira. And we also have this one: great shutdown, be thankful we are not a military regime. Tinubu's aide tells Labour. Strike tension as military surrounds venue of government labor talks. Strike, federal government invites NLC TUC to emergency meeting. Tripartite Committee on National Minimum Wage meets Tuesday, and that's today. And let's see more. See here on the front page of the Nigerian Tribune newspaper. All the news: labor unions paralyze government activities in Lagos. OAU Student Union impeach Speaker, appoint acting. Police beef up security nationwide, urge labor to continue negotiations. And of course, we also take this one: tragedy as DCP Abubakar Mohammed Guri dies at Force headquarters. And still talking about the police, IGP blames internal security threats and corruption impunity within governance structure. And of course, we take two more: off court reverted old national anthem, a giant step backward, Reno or mockery. All right, that's about it coming from the Nigerian Tribune newspaper this morning.
Over to the Premium Times. Minimum wage strike may end today as Nigerian government labor unions reach agreement. Strike. Soldiers around Labour SGF meeting venue. NLC alleges. Flashback. 41-year-old news headline shows how history is repeated in Kano Emirate crisis. Passengers stranded at Abuja Airport as aviation unions withdraw services. CBN revokes license of Heritage Bank. Will come down heavily on attackers. Tinubu speaks on killing of soldiers in Abia. Strike. Don't disrupt Hajj operations. NACON appeals to NLC, TUC. Worker strike disrupts academic activities across Nigeria. NDIC to pay Heritage Bank depositors up to 5 million naira. Strike. Soldiers around Labour already took that one. We'll take some other ones. Workers shot Federal Secretariat as Labour begins indefinite strike. And lastly, from the Premium Times, strike paralyzes activities in Bauchi, Borno, and Yobe.
All right, before we go on our first break this morning, we'll also take a look at the Disney newspaper front page. Labour grounds Nigeria, plunges country into total blackout. And we also have Dangote eyes $30 billion in total revenue from its businesses by end of 2024. And FMBN moves to recover delinquent loans nationwide, sets up 7 tax teams. And you also have this one: breaking: CBN revokes operating license of Heritage Bank. And still talking news here on the front page of the This Day newspaper. Presidential Tax Reforms Committee seeks to slash FIRS customs revenue collection costs to 1%. And I'm afraid we have to take a first break this morning, and we'll be back very shortly afterwards. Do stay with us.
Feel better about your life.
32 FM, 94.9, the antidote to depression.
ọmọ mi ti pọ̀ṣù mẹ́fà ẹ bá mi dúpẹ́. oṣù mẹ́fà ẹ bá mi dúpẹ́. ó ti yá kóṣù mẹ́fà nìyẹn. Ọmọ ò máa ń pẹ́ dàgbà o. Báyìí o, ọmọ rẹ ti wá nílò ju omi ọyàn nìkan lọ o. Àkókò ti tó láti máa fún un ní oúnjẹ fífọ́. Ní àfikún sí ọyàn, rí i dájú pé àwọn oúnjẹ ọmọ rẹ ní ó kéré tán ọ̀kan lára àwọn oúnjẹ àfọ́pọ̀ márùn-ún wọ̀nyí: ẹyin, ẹja tàbí ẹran, èso àti ewébẹ̀, epo tàbí òróró, ẹ̀wà, ẹ̀pà tàbí sóyà, ìrẹsì, ọ̀dùnkún, àgbàdo tàbí iṣu. Ọmọ rẹ bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti oṣù mẹ́fà nílò omi ọyàn àtàwọn oúnjẹ wọ̀nyí fún ìdàgbàsókè àti ìlera. Máa fún wọn lọ́yàn títí yóò fi pé ọmọ ọdún 2 àti jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ.
Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkànṣe iṣẹ́ INT'L, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
Meals have a way of taking us on a journey. And when you add plenty of vegetables like 𝐹𝐻, ugu, and season with the rich taste of Knorr seasoning cubes, even better.
So, go ahead and elevate your meals with more vegetables and the rich taste of Knorr cubes. Today, eat for good.
The regular football season is over, but not for us here at SuperSport. We've got a big deal coming your way. Euro 2024. Witness football's biggest names: Saka, Mbappe, Ronaldo, and many more battle it out in 51 trillion matches enjoyed on DSTV. Stay connected to watch it live from the 14th of June to the 14th of July on SuperSport. Now that's a big deal. Watch teams bow to no one in Euro 2024. Available on all DSTV packages. DSTV, your home of sport.
Babies are God's gifts to parents, and breast milk is God's gift to babies. It contains all the important nutrients and minerals your baby needs, including water, for the first 6 months. Give your baby breast milk only. Remember, breast milk only for the first 6 months. This message is from the INT'L Project, Oyo State Ministry of Health. Take my pikin.
Mama, you no put milk.
E no need milk. Taste am make you see.
How you do am?
E dey milky.
Well.
E dey creamy.
Yes, o.
Na Milo 3-in-1 milky and creamy be that for you. E dey milky, I no need add more milk.
I love am, Mama.
Make you give your pikin the new Milo 3-in-1 milky and creamy. E dey milky well and e get calcium to help your champion to dey win every day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo. Kò bá jẹ́ 24, 29 tàbí 32 ṣáà ti fẹ̀yìn ẹ̀ pẹ̀lú wa lórí gbogbo ìkànnì ìbánidọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ kàn tẹ 32FM 949 fẹ̀yìn ẹ̀.
Golden Chance Lotto. Shey you dey gbadun games? Shey you dey play Lotto? Shey you go like to play Lotto without stressing? You no go kiosk. You fit no even play online. Make you no worry for data. Golden Chance Lotto dey here for you. Make you dial *7005# with your MTN line for any phone to play and win big. You fit even check games results and you go collect wetin you win with the USSD. Play any of Golden Chance Lotto indoor games and international games. No forget, our indoor games dey easy to win. Golden Chance Lotto don't give you a better way to become a millionaire. No forget, *7005#. Golden Chance Lotto, your surest way to become a millionaire.
Gẹ́gẹ́ bí aláboyún, ó ṣe pàtàkì kí n tọ́jú ara mi kí n sì wà ní ìlera pípé.
Kí ìwọ àtoyún inú ẹ lè wà ní ìlera tó péye. Máa lo oògùn ẹ̀jẹ̀ tó ní áyọ̀nù nínú àti folic acid lójoojúmọ́ lákòókò tó bá lóyún. Eléyìí ń dènà àìtó ẹ̀jẹ̀ nínú oyún, yóò sì jẹ́ kóyún wà lálàáfíà. Fún ìlera pípé, ẹ máa yọjú sí àwọn òṣìṣẹ́ elétò ìlera yín fún ìtọ́jú oyún nígbà tó yẹ. Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkànṣe iṣẹ́ INT'L, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
Ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ tó máyédẹrùn fún tíkéré ọmọ ìpínlẹ̀ yìí lábẹ́ àkóso gómìnà Ṣèyí Mákindé ń pe gbogbo èèyàn síbi ètò àṣekágbá òkú ọba aláyélúwà Imperial Majesty olóògbé Dr. Mahood Ọlálékan Ìṣọ̀lá Balógun Ali Òkúmádé kejì Olúbàdàn ilẹ̀ Ìbàdàn 42. èyí tí yóò wáyé ní pápá ìṣeré ìdárayá Ọbáfẹ́mi Awólọ́wọ̀ tá a mọ̀ sí Liberty Stadium nílùú Ìbàdàn lọ́jọ́ sátidé ọjọ́ kẹjọ oṣù kẹfà ọdún 2024 ìdèdè aago 11 òwúrọ̀ níbi tí Táyé Currency àti olóyè Ebenezer Obey yóò ti kọ̀lù sí wa níbàdí òkú olówó ọdún 7 ni òkú òtòṣì oṣù 6 òkú ọlọ́mọ àṣeṣe túṣe ni ká tó wá sọ òkú ọba aláyélúwà Mahood Ọlálékan Ìṣọ̀lá Balógun Ali Òkúmádé kejì tó kópa mẹ́nìgbàgbé sídàgbàsókè ìlú Ìbàdàn àti ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ lápapọ̀ tí eku fi ń ké bí eku tí ọmọ èèyàn sì ń fọ̀n bí èèyàn títí láé níjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ yóò máa ṣèrántí yín fún ìpàdé ibiribi tẹ́ ẹ ti kó láti jẹ́ kí àlàáfíà ó jọba nípínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́ sunre o. Honorable Olúṣẹ́gun Ọláyíwọlá kọmíṣánná fọ́rọ̀ ìjọba àbílẹ̀ àti oyè jíjẹ ló kéde lórúkọ ìjọba ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
You're listening to 32 FM 94.9.
All right, you're welcome back. You're still on to Break It On Papers Review here on 32 FM 94.9. And of course, it's right about time to delve into the paper analysis proper this morning. We have Mr. Femi Olukunle to do that with us. My name is GBOLABO, Famous School.
And I'm Kenny Durutilu. Good morning, Mr. Femi. It's great to have you join us this morning.
Thank you very much for having me. Good morning to you.
All right, of course, the papers is filled with, or the papers are filled with lots of stories relating to the strike and and all of that. Now, the latest update, of course, is that the federal government and organized labor have signed an agreement after the nationwide strike yesterday. The government has committed to a national minimum wage higher than 60,000 naira, with the tripartite committee meeting daily for a week to finalize the amount. Can we say that government's responsiveness to labor demonstrate the effectiveness of nationwide strike as a bargaining tool? And what are your thoughts, your general thoughts to this development?
Well, it's unfortunate that government allowed that strike to take off before reaching an agreement, a reasonable agreement with labor. And the newspapers this morning, honestly, I will give them a thumb down, because I expected at least one of them to quantify how much Nigeria has lost. I mean, for yesterday alone, how much we lost. So the story would have been richer had it been any one of them went the extra mile to let us know, to quantify the loss. So that loss will have helped us to let us know that federal government is kind of penny wise, pounds foolish. Because if you knew that you would enter into a reasonable agreement with labor, then you shouldn't have allowed them to engage themselves in the strike. So, head or tail, Nigeria has lost, and Nigerians have endured discomfort because there has been a blackout all since yesterday, and the businesses have lost. What will have translated into gains for businesses has been burnt off through diesel that they are using to power their business concerns. So, but it is heartwarming that they have decided to reach an agreement that will lead to the call-off of the strike, because the strike must not last 3 days. If it does, we will lose humongously, and it is not in the best interest of this economy that is very, very uneasy, that is begging for assistance to live. So I think it's a welcome development.
I was actually thinking when you said the newspaper should have come up with some kind of statistics as to how much we have lost. And I keep wondering, do we even have a good data system? Can we really look at what we have? Because even the one that we have in the archives, there are a lot of discrepancies when it comes to the actual thing. But then let's move away from labor itself.
Before we move on to labor, move away from labor. These newspapers have business desks, and I give it to them. They know how to compute. They know the indices they are to assemble. Know how to reach something almost the mark, if it's not the real mark. So that they didn't do it is the reason I'm giving them some knock this morning.
All right, Mr. Lukule, let's look at critical infrastructure projects like Tinubu called it. And of course, we know that his government is a government of renewed hope, even though some people have a different perspective as to what this government is bringing on the table. Now, he said that we will accomplish more when we drop partisan politics and personal interest. Who is Tinubu trying to address here? Is it saying that people are beginning to show gesture of personal interest in their own personal lives, even within his government? And of course, that there is a lot of partisan politics going on. Isn't that the reality here?
He's addressing himself. He's first addressing himself, and he's addressing the people in his cabinet, and his friends, these co-travelers in this dispensation, whether they are in APC or PDP or whatever party. But primarily is addressing himself, because if you look at him, he cannot distance himself from a partisanship. He cannot distance himself from a personal interest, because we remember that at the outset of his administration, he was the one that we said should not apportion as much as 1.5 billion to the office of his wife, the first lady, that is not known to the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. But he disobeyed us. He allocated that money, and he allocated so much amount of money to so many areas that shows that people are selfish. Right. And aside from that, the recent one he did when he said that he's going to rebuild the parking space for National Assembly people with 6 billion naira and 4 billion naira to build recreational facilities for them. People we said should go and work and represent us. So recreational facilities for them. So 10 billion going to wastage. To me, it is wastage. So, and then if you look at some of those in his cabinet, some of those ministers in his cabinet who had been governors before, who the EFCC is saying that are having our monies within their fingers, who they allegedly, who the EFCC says they allegedly stole public money. Is it not personal interest above the corporate interest? So, if Tinubu will be true to what he has told us this morning, one would expect him to say that, yes, I'm establishing a special court to treat every case of corruption, and stricter punishment to be meted to anyone that is caught in the web of corruption. So then we will have clapped for him this morning. But this one, he said, is even addressing himself, is attacking himself and attacking his friends.
All right, Mr. Fem, let's take a look at this one. Dangote says international oil companies are not ready to sell crude oil to the 650,000 barrels capacity oil refinery. According to him, the international oil companies were used to exporting crude oil for foreign exchange, and they were not ready to stop. He says this is basically frustrating things for the Dangote oil refinery. He even said he regrets, that those who are benefiting from oil import do not want the refinery to succeed.
Yes, the man is very, very correct. In fact, why our refineries died is just because of the fact that those who are feeding fat on the importation of fuel into this country did not want those, and still do not want those refineries to come alive. And that is why it is taking them donkey years to fix national refineries, where we have them in Warri, Port Harcourt, Kaduna. So, and aside from the fact that those ones are not happy that Dangote has built one, they are trying to frustrate that man, because I don't know the reason Nigerian NNPCL cannot supply enough crude to Dangote refineries. Now they are telling us that the landing cost of fuel has risen to 1,052 naira and certain kobo. Now, if that one should be allowed to move, to percolate to the filling stations, you know how much we are going to buy a liter. So they just don't want peace, and they don't want comfort for Nigerians. And those who are troubling this country, they are not, I'm sure they are not more than 2,000, troubling over 200 million Nigerians. So, and it is just because we have not allowed our laws to work. Dangote is now regretting. He said if he knew that these people were there, he would not build that refinery. You can just imagine. And the international oil companies are not even, they are making it worse. They are not ready. They are not willing to supply crude to Dangote. They like to supply their crude to foreign nations, so that Nigerians may be buying refined petrol from those nations, so that money that should stay within our economy will always go to those nations. So the only way that we can get out of this is for the Tinubu administration to to protect Dangote refineries and other refineries that we have, the modular refineries and all of them. It should compel the international oil companies to supply crude to Dangote, because for Dangote to be going to United States of America to buy crude is shameful. When we have enough crude to service that refinery, that means they don't want to get out of the web of this poverty that they have plunged Nigerians into. So Tinubu must protect that business, and by protecting that business is ensuring that Nigerians are okay. So, and just like we are saying that he must also protect Nigerians airline, Nigerians airline that is flying to these foreign nations. Recently, it was in the news how in UK they are attacking that airline, Airpeace. So Nigeria must learn how to protect its own business. We should not allow every Tom, Dick and Harry to deal with us unjustly. So we shouldn't allow it.
All right, Mr. Olukule, let's look at Naira abuse now. EFCC offers whistleblowers 5% reward. I don't know if this should be mouth-watering or something that should encourage or motivate anyone to whistleblow here, because we still do remember that when this thing started about whistleblowing, many people who had actually gone forward to whistleblow, at the end of the day, they didn't get any sort of compensation. And now EFCC is coming with this. Is this not a lame way of actually trying to do things in the right perspective? And what is the thing that EFCC wants to give 5% for? This, if they are saying that people are matching on the Naira, abusing the Naira, then you're saying you're giving the person 5% reward. From where? And now, isn't this also part of the corruption they're trying to fight?
Now, the first question you will have asked me is 5% of what? Okay. Of what amount? So if you say a percentage, a fraction of, that fraction must be part of a whole. So we don't know the...
I understand that it's the recovered amount. I mean, say they were spraying money at a party now. That amount,
okay,
to the investigations.
Okay, it's funny.
Isn't that corruption?
It may not be corruption. Let's not look at it from that angle. It may be an encouragement for people to expose people. But I don't believe that people need to be tipped before they do what is necessary for our nation. Because honestly, anytime I see anybody, if I go to market and I give money to a seller and he squeezes it, I feel pained and I correct him or her that no, you don't need to do this. If I see anybody writing anything on any of our bills, I feel bad and I correct that person. So I don't think anybody needs any tipping, any inducement to do this. And maybe EFCC wants to have so many people in its net so that this thing will be drummed into the hearing of people. Already the one it did the other time with what's the name of that
Bobrisky.
Bobrisky is working. I was in the saying over the weekend where a secondary school classmate of mine buried her mother, and the musician they brought to that arena nobody sprayed. They had a box and they were putting money inside that box. So it's already working. And that shows that when there is consequence for any bad thing that anybody does, it will percolate, it will spread, and people will be adjusting. So we need more of that. But I don't think EFCC really needs to tip anybody before that is done.
All right, we'll go on to commercial in a moment. Very quickly, Mr. Femi, there were reports yesterday about soldiers surrounding the venue of the meeting, about labor leaders and the federal government, that meeting that they had over the minimum wage, and that had people reacting. The army came out to say that soldiers were military escorts. Those soldiers were military escorts attached to the NSA. What do you make of that whole controversy? Was there an attempt to influence the outcome of that particular meeting yesterday?
That is part of a personal aggrandizement that President Tinubu talked about in the first story we treated. Why should the NSA? NSA is not a soldier. I remember he was a police officer before he retired. Why should he go about with so many soldiers like that, to the extent that NSA will feel embarrassed? So, I mean, all this nonsense that we do in this country, you don't find them being done elsewhere where they know what they are doing. okay, if Ribadu should have so many soldiers to the extent of intimidating people who were at the meeting, then what do we expect of the president? So a whole battalion should follow the president. We don't need all this nonsense. So our soldiers should be better engaged elsewhere than following just a man because it's NSA.
All right, we'll take some commercials. When we come back, we'll be opening the phone lines to take your reactions to the headlines this morning. Stay with us.
Feel better about your life.
32 FM, 94.9, the antidote to depression.
Láti dènà àrùn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru àti àrùn mìíràn pàápàá nínú àwọn ọmọdé, fọ ọwọ́ rẹ pẹ̀lú ọṣẹ àtomi tó ń dà ṣooro. Ní pàtàkì jùlọ tó o bá lo ilé ìgbọ̀nsẹ̀ tán lẹ́yìn tó o bá ti ṣàǹdí fọ́mọ tán kó o tó ṣe oúnjẹ ọmọ rẹ tàbí kó o tó fún un lóúnjẹ. Àti pé o tí ọmọ rẹ bá ní àìsàn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru fún un ní oògùn oníwóró zinc lẹ́ẹ̀kan lójúmọ́ àti ORS ní wákàtí mẹ́rin tàbí kí ẹ máa fún un díẹ̀díẹ̀ nínú ife. Èyí á jẹ́ kọ́mọ rẹ lè ní ìdápadà omi ara àtokun. Bákan náà, yọjú sílé iṣẹ́ ètò ìlera tó bá súnmọ́ ọ jùlọ láti gba ìtọ́jú fọ́mọ tó ní àìsàn ìgbẹ́ gbuuru. Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkànṣe INT'L, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
What takes a plate of jollof rice to the next level of goodness? Is it when it is cooked with no seasoning cubes for that sumptuous taste? Or when you serve it with correct Nigerian salad, cabbage, carrot, lettuce, and a bit of kidney beans?
It's both. Season your jollof with the rich taste of 𝐷𝐿 cubes and serve with plenty of vegetables. So, go ahead and elevate your meals. Today, eat for good.
Ẹ̀yin fans mi. It's okay. Ẹ lọ sórí gbogbo ìkànnì ìbánidọ́rẹ̀ẹ́ ní 32 FM 949 fẹ̀yìn ẹ̀ àsáàpù.
It's okay. Ọmọ mi ti pọ̀ṣù mẹ́fà, ẹ bá mi dúpẹ́. Oṣù mẹ́fà, ẹ bá mi dúpẹ́.
Ó ti yá pọ̀ṣù mẹ́fà nìyẹn. Ọmọ ò máa ń pẹ́ dàgbà o. Báyìí o, ọmọ rẹ ti wá nílò ju omi ọyàn nìkan lọ o. Àkókò ti tó láti máa fún un ní oúnjẹ fífọ́ ní àfikún sí ọyàn. Rí i dájú pé àwọn oúnjẹ ọmọ rẹ ní ó kéré tán ọ̀kan lára àwọn oúnjẹ àfọ́pọ̀ márùn-ún wọ̀nyí. Ẹyin, ẹja tàbí ẹran, èso àti ewébẹ̀, epo tàbí òróró, ẹ̀wà, ẹ̀pà tàbí sóyà, ìrẹsì, ọ̀dùnkún, àgbàdo tàbí iṣu. Ọmọ rẹ bẹ̀rẹ̀ láti oṣù mẹ́fà nílò omi ọyàn àtàwọn oúnjẹ wọ̀nyí fún ìdàgbàsókè àti ìlera. Máa fún wọn lọ́yàn títí yóò fi pé ọmọ ọdún méjì àti jù bẹ́ẹ̀ lọ. Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkànṣe INT'L, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
Take my pikin.
Mama, you no put milk.
E no need milk. Taste am make you see.
How you do am?
E dey milky.
Well.
E dey creamy.
Yes o.
Na Milo 3-in-1 milky and creamy be that for you. E dey milky I no need add more milk.
I love am, Mama.
Make you give your pikin the new Milo 3-in-1 milky and creamy. E dey milky well and e get calcium to help your champion to dey win every day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo.
Àbẹ́ ò rí nǹkan. Ẹ̀bùn pàtàkì látọ̀dọ̀ Ọlọ́run lọmọ jẹ́ fáwọn òbí. Tómi ọyàn sì jẹ́ ẹ̀bùn Ọlọ́run fáwọn ọmọ. Ó ní gbogbo èròjà aṣaralóore pẹ̀lú omi tọ́mọ rẹ nílò. Fún oṣù mẹ́fà àkọ́kọ́, máa fọ́mọ rẹ ní ọyàn nìkan. Rántí o, omi ọyàn nìkan fún oṣù mẹ́fà àkọ́kọ́. Ìkéde yìí wá láti àkànṣe INT'L, iléeṣẹ́ tó ń mójútó ètò ìlera ìpínlẹ̀ Ọ̀yọ́.
Feel better about your life.
32 FM, 94.9, the antidote to depression.
Welcome back. You're still on to Break It On Papers Review here on 32 FM 94.9. And it's right about time to open the phone lines and also take your comments on our socials, 32 FM 949 Ibadan on Facebook and also Fenya platform. The numbers to call in are 070-55,949 or 080-97,949. Hello, good morning.
Hello. Yeah, good morning, Kenny.
Good morning.
Bolabo. And good morning, the resource person. Mr. Lukule, my name is Tony Brown. Well done to you all in the studio. Strike action. Kudos to Labour. It seems Labour is gradually developing some teeth to bite, not just backing. NSC under the former leader during the former President Buhari government had no teeth, was just running the NSC
as if it was, okay, fine, our Nigerian reality, ethnicity, and tribalism. Let me use that word. Because there was nothing, it gave us an impression as if there was no labor at all. People were losing steam about understanding what labor is. So throughout the 8 years of the former president under labor was just a waste. But thank God that we can see the effect of NSC gradually coming up, like when we talk about the Buffers and those of the old. So let the federal government come in agreement and let them accept and then stop. Like the resource person said, we were supposed to be told how much we have lost, but we knew how much we've lost. Nigeria lost a lot yesterday, but how long shall we continue that on that trend? So I think they should quickly resolve it and let that strike end today. And we should not allow it to extend more than this. We're going to lose more. Right. But finally, Dangote and frustration by the OICs tells us practically we could see why the refinery had refused to work. This is why the refinery cannot work. Because we have these people there, just few of them, just like the suspect say, less than 200, troubling Nigeria because of oil. Why are they frustrating the man? Okay. Look at what Dangote said. If he knew that these people could frustrate him, he wouldn't have put on this. So it tells you the Nigerian reality, where we are. I think we should stop this thing. We should move forward. Let the government of President Tinubu wade in here and make sure this man gets enough, crude oil to produce.
All right, thank you so much for that. Mr. Olukule, I want us to look at this before going down to Facebook and taking comments here. Cardoso seeks routine disclosure of debt portfolios, borrowing activities to build trust. Do you think that having this published maybe quarterly or annually the best way to check our borrowing level in the country, looking at the past administration and, of course, this present one and the borrowing spree?
Yes, we should. Nigerians should not be kept in the dark. I've always said that today we don't have information. These people hoard information. They don't give us. So Nigerians should be made to know how much we generate from what, especially how much do we generate from oil, how much do we generate from solid minerals, how much do we generate from taxes, and then how do we spend our monies. So by the time we do this, you will see that we don't have any reason to borrow money from anywhere. We have enough resources to run this country perfectly. But you see, they will keep all these things away from us so that they will be justifying their reasons for borrowing. And this borrowing, you will not know what they have done with the money they borrowed. So I agree with you that we must have a dossier of how and where, how we generated money and how we spent the money.
Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, yeah.
My name is Ade from UI.
All right, go ahead.
Well, I want to believe Obasanjo, Yar'Adua, and Jonathan, they are now seeing the very best way to make use of our soldiers that they did not do. You can now see the government that can use soldiers to do everything. Have been doing this government. You go to Lekki, you deploy soldiers, wasted people's life. You say it's a lie. You ownership matter in Kano, you deploy soldiers. Every sensitive thing, you deploy soldiers. These are soldiers that in their presence, they are kidnapping 300 people every day. I don't understand. Well, when an end is coming to a particular democracy, the same time. That's the best of today.
All right, thank you so much for that. And over to Facebook, we also have some comments here on Facebook. That is 32FM949 Ibadan. And of course, we have this one from Emafo J. Peter. He says, good morning. All right. Good morning in the studio. Strike is the only language Nigerian government understands. Let everyone stay at home until government is ready to pay workers befitting minimum wage. NLC and TUC are not slaves. If Angola government can increase their minimum wage to approximately 180,000 naira, I don't know what would disturb Nigeria to pay same figure after spending millions of dollars to buy SUVs for senators and other frivolous spending. And we also have a Mota Oluru Timme on Nabamiro. The senators and legislators are earning so much more money without doing anything productive. and the government finds it difficult to pay the workers a reasonable living wage. The government should change so that we would not be having strikes in the country. And Raji Afiz Abidemi says, good morning, GBOLABO, Kenny, an analyst in the studio. On the issue of NLC versus federal government, why will Labour agree to that when specific amount is not mentioned? And that's a question mark. Please, the strike should continue until the entire government starts taking the people of Nigeria serious. Else, the politicians will keep doing what they know best, ignoring the people that voted for them. All right, let's also see. We have more from Motai Oluru Timi. Onobamire says, I think we should not use soldiers in a certain way in Nigeria. Otherwise, we might be inviting them to enter into politics indirectly. And those are some of the messages here on Facebook.
All right, once again, 0705 5,949, 0809 7,949. Let's have your reactions to some of the headlines this morning before we go. And again, we're live on Facebook. That's 32FM 949 Ibadan on Facebook. All right, do try and call 0705 5,949.
All right, Mr. Lukule, let's even look at the demands of labor and how realistic it is. I know that labor is demanding for their rights in terms of their welfare, which is actually not going to be across board, because those of us, those people in the private sector, for instance, will not be getting that same minimum wage. Now, some would say it is selfish on the part of labor because it's all about welfare. And of course, this time around, they came up with electricity tariff as well. But then is this realistic? Because we still go to the same markets. If it's 60,000 naira now, that means those of us in the private sector will still go to the same market and get the same commodities that those that have their minimum wage jacked up also go to. So what will happen indirectly to the economy?
Well, let no one blame labor for fighting for its people. Primarily, labor belongs to the workers. So it is when we extend their jurisdiction that we say that, okay, they should be fighting for entire Nigerians. Because if we look at it, even the woman who sells a vegetable at a Malete market is a laborer, is a worker. The one who sells fruits at Oje market is also a worker indirectly. So, and don't forget that when workers take salaries, they distribute money. Because when they buy anything, the seller of that thing they bought will have money to do some other things. And that's how money circulates in the nation. However, if we want to say that the money will not percolate, it will not go round, let us remove this thing from our constitution, because it is in the constitution
should it be a monetized economy? Shouldn't we be thinking about some sort of by the government?
Yes, that is government's responsibility. And if government fails, as long as government, I do, primarily I didn't support increase in salary,
right?
But I want all these commodities that we buy to be reachable, to be within the reach of the people. Even government should subsidize all these things we buy. Right. So that is just the thing, but they have not done it. That's why labor is asking for more money, because they are not comfortable. So if we want to say that, okay, private sector will not be able to pay what federal government and state government will be paid, let us remove it from the constitution and let federal government pays what it is able to pay, state what it is able to pay, and the organized private sector what they are able to pay. So,
all right, we have to.
But it's a law now that must be obeyed.
We have to go now. Thank you very much, Mr. Femi Olukunle, for your analysis this morning. Quickly before we go, birthday shout out to Pastor Femi Oriowo, APICP CSR RCCG Oyo 14. He's the pastor in charge of Verizon Giant Mega Assembly, about Olode Ibadan. That's courtesy of Austin Edumo and family. Best wishes in your new year, sir. We have to go down. My name is Kenny Duritilu. Good morning.
And I'm GBOLABO, Famous School. The Smart Kids Show is up next. Do stay with us.